Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the March 11th Lebanon City Council meeting. Our first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilman Fleming, will you lead us, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Fleming. Now we'll move on to the roll call of members. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Okay. Mike Kincaid.
Present.
Keith Campbell.
Here.
Morris Jones.
Here.
Dick Robertson.
Here.
John Copeland.
Absent.
Brent Wheat.
Absent.
And Dan Fleming.
Present. Okay, so we have two members absent, but we do have a quorum with 5. So we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from our previous meeting. We did not have a meeting for the second meeting in February, so this will be back to our February 11th meeting. Any edits or changes to those minutes?
I'll make a motion we approve the minutes.
Okay, we motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes are approved. All right, starting off tonight, we do have a presentation from Ed Baskell, our Lebanon Utilities General Manager, and he's going to present the state of the utilities.
Okay,
Take it away, Ed.
Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council, and thanks for having me. I've been the General Manager for Lebanon Utilities for just about almost exactly 3 months now, and I have a short slide presentation, and let me just get it started here. There we go. Give me just a second here. A little technical difficulty here.
IT's coming.
These things, it always seems to happen that when it's all ready until you do it. Yeah. Okay, well, this is just a general overview of what's going on with Lebanon Utilities, because I think the reason we do this is we'd like to keep you informed as to what we're doing, because lots of times in the utility business, until the water goes off, or the electric power goes off, no one really thinks about it, because it's so reliable here in the United States, and especially in Lebanon. So, what is the purpose of utility rates? Why do we pay utilities? Well, it's to provide funds to operate the utility. We're not for profit. The rates should recover enough revenue to provide for future revenue requirements, keep the business solvent. And hit the button twice here. What's included in the revenue is just normal operations and maintenance. For electricity, we purchase power. There's payroll. There's chemicals for treating the water and the wastewater. There's insurance, repair and maintenance. So just it's an overview. There's debt service because we have to borrow money, and this body has helped us with bonding for that. There's debt service reserve, which is required by State Board of Accounts, and just like any business, you have to have a reserve. And there's capital improvements. Infrastructure in utility business is aging. We have pipes in the sewer plants, in the streets that have been there for 100 years, and they need to be fixed and upgraded. Now here's an overview for the electric utility. These are proposed expenditures for 2019. The 69 kV is ongoing. I'm not going to go through things line by line, but I'm willing to answer questions. We also have a plan going forward, like a 5-year plan. Some of these projects may change because they're in the future, but we have to plan on a 5, 10, and 15-year basis to know where our money is going to go and to do our rate and to plan the rates. But probably the important thing is we're not projecting a rate increase for electric. Is actually projecting a decrease of 1.1%. That's based off of really good management from IMPA and changes in regulation with the change of administration in Washington that happened in 2016. They're also adding renewable energy sources like solar. One important thing this body had to do with passing is there's an economic development rider to sort of attract new business to town where they're big electric users. Moving on to the water utility. again, we just have a lot of projects going on to upgrade the facilities to make it ready for future development and improve our water supply. And we have future projects planned with, and the ones with the star next to them are SRF, or State Revolving Loan Fund money.
Ed, can you go back a minute?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Good.
Okay, I'll go on. Yeah, if I go too fast, slow me down. It's the northerner in me talks too quickly sometimes. But we're not projecting a rate increase for the water, for at least for the next few years. Wastewater, we have some large capital improvement projects going to upgrade the plant. And it's not the end either, because there's a lot that needs to be done in the system. We have a lot of what we call I&I, or infiltration and inflow into the system, where we're treating rainwater at the plant and the pipes leak. And wastewater, there's going to need to be a rate study in 2021, 22. There's probably going to need to be a rate increase in that time frame. And one thing we're looking at in the future is just having small rate increases for like a sort of a CPI adjustment on wastewater, because regulations in wastewater are tightening all the time with EPA, and also that we have the aging infrastructure. There's just a lot of issues with wastewater. So we're just trying to tell you what's coming down the pike for future reference. Telecommunications is our smallest utility. We have about 1,000 customers, mostly outside of the center of Lebanon. And we're just looking at different upgrades, because telecommunications technology is always changing. There's a lot coming down the pike there in the future. And a lot of people don't know is that it contributes $350,000 to the rest of the utility. It's actually making money that's helping to reduce our rates overall. And we've paid down the internal loan from the utility to start the telecom by about $150,000 in 2018. And one thing I just added to the presentation, so I watched the meeting before this, the Redevelopment Commission, and I was really impressed with those people, so I thought you might appreciate this slide. We have a lot of people who aren't college educated, and that's great. We have apprentices who don't go to college. They have a 4-year apprenticeship, and they're great people. I have a lot of great folks that work for me. They're hardworking. We've hired one of our apprentices, I think came right out of Lebanon High School, and he's still in an apprenticeship program. I guess one caveat to that, though, is, and I'm sorry if that's not as politically correct as it could be, but one caveat to that is that they don't make that kind of money right out of high school, because it's a 4-year apprenticeship, and you have to, it takes a special person to be a lineman. Like I was talking to my lineman the other day, I was saying I was a former naval officer. It takes a special kind of person to want to go to sea and put up with all that. But I mean, consider these guys are, that's a nice picture there where he's hanging from the pole, but usually when they're up there, it's raining, it's snowing, the power's out, it's bad weather, and you just have to have that certain something inside, that love for it. And that's just another kind of random picture where they're doing a crossing there. I have a lot of hardworking people out there doing a good job for you all the time in bad weather, good weather. And with that said, is there any questions? I just really want to kind of give you an overview. I know it's late and I went quickly, but...
I have one question actually for you. Speaking of the hiring part of it, how about veterans you guys are hiring? Do you guys look for certain qualities like in military veterans when hiring?
Well, I'm a veteran. I was in the Navy, and
I'll give you a hard time about that later.
Okay, well, it's whatever uniform you like best. I will give you a hard time about it, like for fun, but yeah, I like veterans because they got they talked about in the previous meeting, if you guys were here for part of that, about the work ethic. It seems like when you've done a hitch in the military and you've been successful and got an honorable discharge, you've learned how to work. I mean, I can think back in my high school and early, I went to college, my first year in college, I'd be upset, oh, I have to wake up early, it's 8 o'clock, and I have to put my sweatpants on and go to class, whereas in the military, that's not early. It's like, just like they say in that old TV commercial, you do more before 9 a.m. than most people do all day. So I've been successful in the past hiring former military people, but we don't have an actual preference to look for them, like a point system. That would be something to consider.
I just know with those jobs, you know, it's a tough job. You see them out there in the elements, and you know, you said you're a military veteran as well. We see the guys out there really pushing, guys and gals out there to get the job done, and I think it'd be awesome to see a point system like that too. So
yeah, well,
just a nugget of information.
No, it's good. We can look into that.
Any other questions for Ed from the council?
No, sir. Good job.
Hey, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. So now we'll move on to old business. At this time, I don't have any old business on the agenda. Is there anything from the council?
Not for me.
Okay, then I'll move on to new business. And the only thing I have on here is the park impact fee study discussion. In this, Dick Robertson, do you want to take this away?
Yeah, well, I asked the mayor to put this on the agenda. We've talked about this years and years and years ago in the past of creating a park impact fee and another one, a road impact fee. And I think this year is really a time to really get that going again, get that started. So I asked the mayor to put this on the agenda so we could talk about it a little bit. Ben or John, I hope you guys can come up and can share a little bit of information on the benefit and the need, why we really need a park impact fee and so forth.
Sure. Yeah, the park impact fee is intended to address the additional park needs that arise as you grow. So as you add 100 new people every year, they have desires and wishes for park facilities that we may not now have. So this is a way for us to be able to fund those additional demands and needs of the people that might be moving here by the people that are actually moving here. So basically what you do is you start with the update to your master park plan, your park master plan, which we just did a couple of years ago. So we've got an updated park master plan. And in that, you look at projections for needs over that 5-year period that study is good for. And what you do then is you take that and say, looking at all these improvements, where we've basically developed costs associated with those improvements. And then we're also, as in the park impact fee study, looking at potential growth that you might see, and we're equating that cost versus the growth. And basically, you develop a cost per new resident that's coming in, and those folks basically pay their way for the park system. So the good thing about that is there's no reason to think the demand for our parks is going to get any less. And certainly as we grow, the demand for our park facilities is going to grow, both from an acreage and from a facilities and amenities perspective. So this is a way to equate those additional demands of the park facilities to the folks that are actually moving here and creating those demands. So park impact fees are not used to maintain your existing facilities. So you're not going to see that we're, painting a maintenance building or replacing a slide that's already there. This is strictly to offset the costs associated with growing your park system and growing and adding new amenities. So for example, if our park master plan suggested we needed a splash pad, that's a new amenity, and we had a park impact fee in place that had collected $100,000, we could have used a portion of the money in that facility to offset costs associated with the splash pad as a new amenity. So as you look at our park master plan, John could probably give you some highlights from that plan of what's in there. You develop those costs, and then you've basically set yourself up to be able to collect money up front that can be used to offset those costs of adding those facilities at a later date and associating them with the people that are creating the demand for them. I don't know do you want me to go into the actual study itself a little bit about what that does, or is there any questions?
Yeah, you might.
Yeah, if there's any questions maybe about the need for it, or anybody have any questions? I think a lot of us have talked about the need for it. And as Mr. Robertson said, it's a good time to look at it. Over the last 5 years, we probably averaged 20 to 30 new home starts a year, so not significant growth from a residential perspective. But with the new developments we have been coming online, I would anticipate that we'll be over 100 building permits a year within the next 2 years, and probably doing more than that if we add additional neighborhoods, additional options. So we're going to be, I would guess, I could be wrong, but I would guess that we're going to quadruple the number of new home starts we're doing in the next 2 years. So it's definitely a good time to get it in place now before those come online, because then the other reason developers like it, they'll say it's an additional cost, they don't like it, but one reason they like it is because it's a known quantity. They're not coming in and negotiating. You know, if somebody comes and says, we're going to develop this 100 acres, and John says, I need you to put in a 10-acre park. Well, that's an expense that they couldn't account for when they were coming up with their evaluation of the property. Now they know I'm going to pay $500 a lot for park impact fee. It's a known quantity up front. They do like the expectations associated with that, even though it is a cost to them. So that's another good thing about the park impact fee. Many of our neighbors already have impact fees in place, so it's not like we're paving a new trail here. And we have put together, you know, a quick analysis of what everybody else is charging. So it's something that obviously will come into play as we're determining how to actually set the fee at the end of the study. But we're certainly not paving any new trails with this discussion. A lot of folks who have started their growth pattern before us have put those in place so they can offset the costs associated with adding to their park facilities. In terms of the study, we have talked to UMBAW, who does just about everybody's park impact fee study in the state. They've got the guys that know how to do this. They've done it dozens and dozens of times about putting together a proposal for us. It's a fairly straightforward program. Essentially, they look at that park master plan and the improvements that we're proposing over the next 5 years. They have to work with a registered landscape architect, which is required by state law that you include a registered landscape architect on the team to put together the costs associated with those amenities, et cetera. And then, so that develops your costs over that 5-year period. And then you look at developing population trends, look at your building and development that's kind of in the pipeline, current housing stock, and all those good things. So you kind of develop your cost side and then your revenue side, and then you determine based on that what the proposed park impact fee should be. That doesn't require the council to adopt a fee at that rate. That establishes your upper cap. So you can, if they suggest a $2,000 park impact fee, that's not to say you have to establish it at $2,000. You can put it at $500 if you want. But they're basically just establishing your top limit of that park impact fee. As I mentioned, UMBAW does all the accounting side of this. We did also get a proposal from American Structure Point to provide the registered landscape architect services. Both of them provided an hourly contract not to exceed. The total right now is $30,000 from UMBAW plus direct expenses, and I believe it's $7,500 from American Structure Point plus direct expenses. So you're probably looking at nothing, not to exceed $40,000 at the most to provide this. There is a decent amount of work that goes into creating those estimates.
We had UMBAW do it the last time several years ago, so that's why I recommend we look at UMBAW again, let them do it, because they've already got part of history, you know.
And they essentially do everybody's park
Sure.
impact fee study, so they've got the horses.
And just for everybody's information, and just like he said that every community around us, or let's say east of us, has the park impact fee. I was just happened to be sitting down with the Carmel Clay Parks Recreational Director, talking to him about some work and so forth, and he just rattled off all these things where they're getting money from, and one of them was this park impact fee. And that's how they've been able to, to increase the size of their parks by the money that's been generated from those fees and so forth. And he flat out told me, he said, developers want to know what it is. They want to know what it is up front. And that he goes, we've never had anybody balk, they just want to know what it is. And it's very simple, and it's like I say, it's all charged new residents or local residents wouldn't be paying a thing for it, wouldn't have to worry about a thing. And I truly think it's something that we need to do and get started for our community. We've talked about it for years. And
Ben, I have a question I don't think's come up when I've thought about this earlier. Is it just new homes, or does it also apply to apartments as well?
It does apply to apartments as well. So any new residence that comes in would pay a fee. Usually you've got a fee associated with a single family home, and then it's usually a slightly less fee for apartments. But again, they'll make those recommendations in the park impact fee study. as to what your single-family versus multifamily should be. But if you look, in the chart, some of them do just have a flat rate per unit, but some of them do single-family, two-family, one, 2, and 3-bedroom apartments all have a different rate associated with them. But Zionsville, Whitestown both have park impact fees. Every community in Hamilton County does. Avon, Plainfield, pretty much everybody around us has a park impact fee in place.
But it's not on businesses, correct?
It is not on businesses.
It's strictly on residents.
Because they're the ones creating the demand for parks.
This is on the agenda as a discussion, so if there's any thoughts, comments, questions, please.
The process, how long is the process? That might be something that will help you along. I believe it's 6 months.
Yeah, it's usually 4 to 6 months to put something like this together. And then typically what you would do is in any development that's already platted, you wouldn't necessarily require them to pay the fee when the lots come in. You could legally, but usually that's kind of the cutting off point. So if somebody's already platted a section of a neighborhood, you wouldn't charge those lots the fees, but any subsequent section or new development you would start charging those fees to them. But you wouldn't be able to do that until you got the park impact fee study and the council's actually adopted the impact fee.
This was done 10 years ago with Umball. We did all the park impact fees. We didn't go forward with it because the economy went south then. So it really was one of those that we tabled it. Statute of limitations on this, you have to keep it updated. Plus, we just did the park master plan. So we've been through that before. Like he said, all our neighbors have done it, and it doesn't impact our local taxpayers. So I just think we have a lot of things to do in the park system, and that would help us along the way with funding.
I just have a question. The impact fee is tied directly to the permit to build?
Yes. Yeah, so
Not
when
just
they come
to the
in,
lot.
they bring in a building permit to build a single home, they would pay it at the same time that
That's when it kick, okay.
Yeah, so it's not like they would pay for all of the lots when they plat. It's strictly when they bring that single-family permit in, or in the case of multifamily, if they're building a building that has 20 units in, they pay for all 20 of those units at one time.
Okay.
So the builders like it because they're not paying it until they know they've already sold a lot. So it's not money coming out of their pocket necessarily.
Okay.
Good idea, let's go forward.
I would like to see us go forward. I really, I'd like to, a $40,000 fee not to exceed would be good, and I think we could take it out of our food and beverage fund to get it started. But how do you guys feel?
Sounds good.
Before we have any motions or anything like that, I do want to open up for public comment. Any thoughts or feedback? Would love to hear it.
John, Leslie, you're on the park board. What do you think?
Okay, they're all looking back at me like nothing. Okay. Further discussion from the council?
Dan, how do you feel, buddy?
Let's go.
Morris?
I'm good.
You okay.
I'm good.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve $40,000 not to exceed for a study of a park impact fee to come out of our food and beverage fund.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? No, sir. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, we'll start working on that.
Very good.
Getting it lined up. Thank you, Dick.
We'll bring the contracts to the Board of Works the next meeting. We'll be ready to go.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that concludes what I have under my new business. Is there anything from council?
Just one thing, I want to remind everybody that the Kiwanis annual, 65th annual Kiwanis Pancake Supper is April the 11th.
Okay, very good. Bring your own syrup, or you got your own? BYOS or no?
What?
No, never mind, sorry. All right. Any other announcements or discussion from council?
Make a motion we pay claims.
We have a motion to pay the claims. Is there a second? Motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Claims are approved and would entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. We have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Thank you, Morris. You guys want to get home? All in favor say aye. Those opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Our next council meeting will be March 25th at 7:15 p.m. Thanks for watching.
Everybody get their